Come back to the table with an update on your telephone conversation. What's happened?
Oh, sorry, it took a while. I think they were at tea when I first rang and I couldn't get hold of anyone, but now that they're back. The lady from the Productivity Commission was very happy to offer us a further extension. She's putting the proposal together now for the workshop on the 27th. She agrees that a lot will come out of that meeting of the 27th and that we then respond after that. So she was quite happy with all of that. I said to her we would agree on a date because I'm aware that there's Easter and Anzac Day and all those times falling in April, and so therefore I think we need to work out when a council date falls, and I would then advise her of that, but she was quite comfortable with that approach.
All right, so we're now working in a context of having got the extension, or knowing that we will get the extension. Yes. That's fine. So coming back to the resolutions. So
we've got the extension, so if you just take that one for the revised submission.
So you now no longer need a resolution asking you to seek a further extension of time. You've done that, or is there a formality that needs to be gone through?
Do we want to just note that staff have got a further extension?
Yep, I think that would be good.
Yes.
So you can't have that under there because you've got requests.
Yes, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Hold a councillor workshop, note the staff. Yeah, goes up top. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Yes. All right. So, if someone could please advise us when the meetings are in April, then we can select a day now, if that's okay.
Yeah.
If we were to say that, and it could be, we've got a recess week at the end of April.
There's only one council. Do we need to specify a date? We've only got one meeting in April.
What's the first meeting in May? Because we could say no later than whatever that first meeting in May is. So no later than the 9th of May. Is that workable?
Yes, thank you.
And that means if we're ready before that, you can bring it before that. But if we've only got one council meeting in April, we've got, as you say, Easter, Anzac and recess, all of which from memory coincide. No later than 9th of May gives us a little bit of wriggle room. Yeah, we could, because we could delegate to a small. Yeah.
But
it's not probable of that. No,
yeah. I think that's fine. 10th of May is, after the 9th of May. If we need the extra dates there, chances are we probably won't, but at least we're covered if we do. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's not substantive. Doesn't matter. Okay, so we've got all of this. So we need a mover, and is this a question, Phil?
It is really.
Yep.
Just like there's been discussion around some logistics of this. It just seems to me that even though we've got a further time, that in fact finding time when all councillors might be able to come, let alone be there in terms of reality, that it's going to be very difficult to find a time. It just seems to me it would be probably better to form a formal workshop, but by way of a working group, so that some people who've got a particular interest might join that, rather than waiting till everybody was available and then find you get half a dozen. I'm not wanting to take away from the importance of this. I think that although it's finance focused, clearly it's about community well-being, and a whole lot of the different work that this council does, pieces of work, comes into this. So I think there's plenty of scope for councillors to get involved, but I'm just trying to sort of make a point about the reality of what will happen at the workshop.
Well, it may be that we could schedule a workshop for a Tuesday when people are all here for briefings anyway, or maybe after a Finance and Performance Committee of the whole when everybody will be here anyway.
Can I ask, are you meeting next Tuesday? Because that's really the only available day, isn't it? Because the Productivity Commission are here the week after.
Correct. Yeah. All right. Raf and then Glenn. Yep.
Just to make a suggestion on this, this is actually a really complex ask for council to have a position on. The Productivity Commission, in their issues paper, are asking some 45 different questions to be answered. The chances of us agreeing on anything are minimal at best. My suggestion, though, to people is actually to go to the website and download the questions and just look through the questions and see which ones interest you. And my approach actually is almost, councillors might want to do an individual submission or individual feedback, and then the council may want to do its own in terms of the experience they have around the other issues around funding, particularly, especially around infrastructure funding. It's a huge beast.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm giving a talk on this next week in Auckland, and even I'm struggling trying to get this into a coherent framework because they're asking so many questions. They might as well ask what's the role of local government. So it's kind of bigger than Ben Herder's thing. So if you actually go and download the questions and look for the stuff that is of specific interest, that's a good place to start before the workshop.
Yep, that's good advice, and it may well be that the comments that Raf's just made actually form a, when we get to the workshop, it might be that that's our starting point at that time. All right, thank you. Glenn.
What was going through my mind was some kind of delegated authority to, say, an ad hoc submissions group, and I wonder if this is appointed to having a submissions committee in the next term, but...
Yeah, I don't see us getting to a point where a small
It's not like
group...
a little thing. It's like everything. Everyone's going to have different views on what should be funded, how it should be funded, what central government should be doing. It's so big. It's quite difficult. And you can also ask yourself, is it going to make any difference anyway? But huh? What? Yeah, no, I think it's good. But what I would say to people is go and look at the questions first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a workshop with anybody able to come who wants to come is a good idea. I don't see us delegating this to a small group with delegated power to sign off like we do sometimes. Phil?
I agree with that. I've got a bit of a different view from Raf. I think actually there's plenty of scope for us that we would have consensus on, and they're the things perhaps we should look at. Yep, there'll be some things that are outside that, but I think that when we have the workshop, there should be plenty that we do concur together.
Well, I look forward to continuing these conversations at that workshop. That's great.
Next Tuesday is Community Week, so...
I think if people... Okay, let's try and find a time. It may well be that next Tuesday is a good time. Let's try and find a time. If people are motivated to be part of this, then I'm sure that we'll be able to find a time that people are able to be here. All right, so without getting into that detail at the moment, we've now got some resolutions in front of us. Now, is somebody willing to... Well, why don't I move this? And Pauline, you'll second. Is there any debate? We've had a good discussion around it already. So all those in favour say aye. Against? That's carried. Great, thank you. And thank you, Di, for responding so quickly to the request for the extension. That's great.